Hey guys, my name is Jade, and today I'm going to be talking about this workflow that I developed with the MPC Live 2 and the SP404. So a lot of people already have like the workflow where they use the SP404 as a FX processor. So you've seen like people with the Machine or even like the MPC 1000. One of my main complaints about the MPC Live and even the Machine Plus is just that the outputs don't sound like very powerful. Like they sound kind of weak compared to older devices. Like the MPC 1000, it just sounded so amazing straight out like into your interface. Amazing. These, they just sound really weak, and I'm not the only one with this opinion. You can look online. Some people run it through like something else, like the analog heat, like Marlowe Diggs, but that's just like extra. Another cool thing about the SP404 MK2 is that we get an input effect. So like we don't need that extra piece of gear because I'm really trying to like have less stuff as possible. You can see like the synth wall is gone. Yes, a lot of synths are gone. We still got the Prophet, we still got the Montage over here, but I'm really trying to just have less stuff because it really is like better for my workflow at least. So being able to use that FX input and not need anything else to like beef this up a bit. Plus. Another plus of the MK2 is that it has the USB-C, so we can go straight out of USB-A to USB-C and use that MIDI. Another plus, MIDI in and out. And of course, the biggest update, 1/4-inch jacks for the SP404 MK2, right? So being able to use my SP404 drums while still being able to process effects on my SP404 from the MPC, like this workflow. So let me just get on it, cause like I've been doing jams on my music channel with this setup, linked below if you haven't seen those. I made a jam yesterday, which was the Steven Universe Love Like You cover, which is like a lo-fi hip-hop-ish cover that I did on Steven Universe. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys that project. I'm gonna go to browse, and so all right, let me tell you what happened. So like check this out. There's nothing. There's literally nothing on this MPC. Like what happened? I'm about to tell you what happened. So yesterday I'm like, yo, I'm getting this message that says I have low memory, and I'm like, okay, well let me delete some stuff. I go and delete some stuff. I'm like, I guess I don't use any of these samples. All right, I'm gonna delete them. And like the thing with the MPC, and I've known this, but just in case you don't know, let me like give you a heads up because this is important. There's certain things that you can delete that you shouldn't be able to delete. Once you delete them, you lose things like your templates, like your startup screen. You're gonna lose that stuff, and there's no way to get it back besides contacting MKII and them. I don't know what happens. I don't know if they send you a new one or what. So yeah, so all my factory content is gone. Like there is nothing on here, but I'm absolutely fine with that. Like that's not a problem for me because I never use the sounds that are on here. I just load this up with my own samples and sample into it, so it's not an issue for me. But just a heads up, if you delete your content, it's gonna be kind of hard to get it back. So just a heads up on that. I don't care, but you might. So I have these folders set up over here with my shortcuts. This is actually a very useful shortcut in case you don't know. If you're in a folder that you use a lot, so let's say for example, if I'm over here, let's say this Asian folder, if I'm inside this Asian folder and I'm like, hey, I wanna just have direct access to this, all you have to do is press shift and one of these folder icons up here, and now check it out. Boom, anywhere I am, I have that right there. How awesome is that? So like make sure you set this up to whatever it is that you're using the most, and that's gonna save you so much time when you're making beats. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and load up, actually no, I already have a project ready. So I only have 2 tracks on this project, the piano sample and the drums. Let me like break down the outputs and inputs just in case you're new and you don't know what's going on. We have the outputs of the MPC, which means the audio comes out of here into the SP404. We have the audio that's going into our interface from the SP. We also have nothing in here. And then I have my metronome going into a separate output so I can jam without people hearing it. So now that I have this sample chopped up, and I'm gonna show you guys how to chop samples in a minute because this is definitely one of the things that I love most about the MPC Live. Like yes, the synth engine, it's nice that it's there. Don't really use it that much. Which reminds me, every time you turn it on, you have to set this up. I don't know if you can save the setting somewhere. If you know how to do that, let me know. But we need to set up our input effects. So just let me show you all the difference so you can see like the sound quality. So we got input, that 303 compressor, here we go. That one's always good and crunchy. And then the 404 vinyl. I actually have the 404 vinyl set to my resonator instead, Because the cool thing about the MKII is that you can change these effects. Like, it's not just the isolator, it's not just the DJ effects looper. Like, you can customize these to whatever you want. So how I start my jams when I'm performing live is I like to chop the samples live so people can see that, like, oh hey, you know, there's actually something going on these pads, right? And sometimes I'll go straight into that sequence with those same chops, or sometimes I'll go to another sequence. So we have 5, maybe 6. I'm not sure what this one is. Let's see. Sometimes I'll just mess around and, you know, not use all the sequences. I think this is the last one that I used in the jam. Okay, so for example, that would be a good one to start it on, so it switches things up a bit. So if I were to perform this, I would go. I hope you guys like that cover. I've been wanting to do it for a while. There's a lot of other covers that I want to do, and I'm also taking requests, so let me know in the comments below over there in that video. So I do want to say that you don't need these two devices. You could absolutely be fine with either of them. If I had to choose one, I would go for the SP because I run everything through my SP. Like, I can run my modular through my SP. I can run a track that I made in Ableton in my SP. So SP is like my go-to for live performance. Just taking this, that's a cool setup for me. When it comes to chopping samples though, the MPC Live definitely gets the win. With the SP404 MK2, yes, it is a lot better than the original 404 at sampling, but still it's kind of slow when it comes to like trimming your samples, and it's just like an extra step. Also, the crossfade isn't as perfect as it is on the MPC Live, so you kind of get that little pop and then you gotta go in and trim it and like move a lot of scrolling of the little knob when it comes to chopping samples on the new SP. But this is $500 something. This is $1,000 something. So it's not like a fair comparison. And regardless, I would still choose this one just because like I have such a, like I love the SP, so it's not really fair to ask me. But for someone else that is just like getting into music production, I think the MPC Live with the new updates, because like I think MKII has been doing a very decent job at updating the MPC Live. Yes, it did take them a while. I hadn't really been into the MPC since like 3 years ago, so definitely the upgrades and the updates that they've been doing to it, y'all got me back. There's still a few things that could definitely be better. I'll get into that in another video. Maybe they'll like take some requests for like features. That'd be cool. But yeah, so let me show you guys how I actually chop a sample. So the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna want to load your sample. I already have mine loaded, but the way you would do that is you would go to menu, press browse, and then look for your sample. After you load it, maybe it'll show up like none, and then you're like, yo, where's my sample? You go to edit sample, and then sometimes it'll be like right there. You just gotta go up here and scroll, and then boom, your sample is right there. So right off the bat, we have this sample over here. We can trim it, we can chop it. If we go to chop right there, I'm gonna delete these chops so I can show you guys. So by pressing shift, we reveal this other menu, clear all. Now I have a blank clear slate. So the MPC Live, that you can have so many chops. It just automatically goes to the next bank and the next bank and the next bank. So you could literally just chop a whole song if you really wanted to. I normally just chop maybe like A and B, sometimes C, but I don't really end up using all those samples. And another thing I like to do is to change the tuning of the program so it doesn't sound like so similar to the original, right? So now we can hear our chops over here. So there's a big difference between a sample flip and a sample cover. When you're doing a cover, you want people to realize that, hey, I'm actually playing this exact song, but in my own way. When flipping samples, we want the complete opposite. We want people not to be able to recognize what it is that we're doing. So changing the tune, changing how the pads are played, the direction of the pads can give us a whole different result and create a whole new song. So we got these chops. Already that's not Steven Universe anymore, right? Isn't that awesome? So we're gonna take these chops and we're gonna make a new program from it. So to do that, we're gonna press Shift, Convert, and it's that first option, New Drum Program Using Slices. You can like explore with the other programs that they have, but I just use that first one. It always works, it's convenient. Then I'm gonna scroll all the way to the right, and here's my new sample. So what I like to do is I just like to play chops. I don't even like to set a metronome just yet because I really want to just play the chops, try to figure out what sounds good to my ears without having to be restrained to any type of metronome or finding out the BPM or anything like that. We're going to do all that stuff by ear because, you know, that's how we roll. So this sounds a little late to me, so I can actually go in after the fact and trim the sample even further, which is awesome. Much better. So I'm going to start with those two chops, and what we're going to do next is we need to figure out the tempo. So how we're going to do that is we're going to figure it out by ear. So we're just going to play our chops. And we could have done that in that time, or we could have even done it slower. So let's say, for example, and it gives me about half of that. So it was really like around 160, 77 would have been like, you know, almost like 150. But if I would have kept doing it, it would have changed back. So when you're tapping, yes, you just gotta figure it out until it sounds good. So I'm gonna leave it at 160 just for now, just so we can see where we're at. So here we go. Alright, so that sounds good enough to me. I'm going to go to track 2 and I'm going to set up my MIDI port. So I said I have USB going straight into the SP404. I'm going to go to the MIDI port and it's all the way to the right. So you might have to mess with your MIDI settings on your MPC and on your 404 to make sure it shows up on there. It wasn't too complicated because USB does in and out. So it was actually pretty simple. Maybe if it's not working, definitely check out the MIDI settings, but it should be right there all the way to the right. So now, how cool is that? But it's not all rainbows and ponies, right? It can't all be perfect. So sadly, I was hoping that like, okay, can I use all of my banks? Because wouldn't that be amazing to just load the 404 with drums on all of these banks and just have this completely transport to these banks right here? Sadly, no, of course, too perfect, right? So if you press the pads as they are now, it's like random. They'll just play random pads. So the best way that I've gotten it for me to work with my first bank is I'll go to the octaves and I'll press up twice and then boom. It took me a while to figure this out, guys, so you know, I might make a more in-detail video about this because it's a little, I guess it's a little complicated, but once you set it up, you can just make that template and save it and then boom, it's just set up. Now my MPC can not only play my drums, but sequence my drums. It can even use the roller function. So check it out. Okay, so Just that fact alone that we can use this roller, because yes, the 404 MK2 has a roller, but it is not near as user-friendly as this one over here. So yeah, guys, boom, now we have a whole different track. Okay, so then what I would do next is I would take this sequence, and you can mess with like copying the events, but I haven't done it in a while, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't for me. User error. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy my sequence. We had that on 9, so I'm going to put that on 10 to keep things organized, and then do it. So now I have that same exact sequence over here. I'm going to go back to track 1. I'm going to clear this sequence, and I'm sorry if I'm moving too fast, but I'm a little short on time and I got to head out. So let's go ahead and make a second sequence, and let's do it. So now I just have my drum. So now I can just go mess with the pads however I want. And that's that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe. Support a sister on Patreon if you want exclusive content, and join the Dallas fam and show some love. Thank you guys so much. Stay fly, and I'll catch you in the next one. Brought to you by DistroKid. It's no secret that getting your music in stores for $20 a year is a great deal. But for those wanting to go that extra mile with their next release, DistroKid gives you a few paid options. From getting your music into Beatport, to getting notified and paid if your music is ever used in any YouTube videos, add-on features might be something to consider for your next release. Want to make sure your music is never deleted? Click the Leave a Legacy option. And if you're thinking of signing up, use the code below and save 7%.